Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah Palfrey, Director of the Morgantown Public Library System, and I'm here today with Scott Iles from the Monongalia County Clerk's Office of Election and Voter Registrations. And he's here to provide some important voter information regarding upcoming elections and the concept of legislated redistricting. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Sarah. I'm delighted to be here.
So let's start with some basic information for voters' calendars. When are elections scheduled for 2022?
Although there may sometimes be unscheduled elections due to jurisdictional needs, there are currently 2 elections scheduled in 2022. The primary election will be held on Tuesday, May 10th. Polls will be open from 6:30 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. The last day to register to vote in the May 10th primary election is Tuesday, April 19th. Early voting for the primary election will begin on April 27th and end on May 7th for 10 days, excluding Sunday. Early voting will be open from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. each day. The 4 early voting polling place locations for the primary election will be at the Election Center at Mountaineer Mall, Mason-Dixon Park, Pierpont Landing, where the former Earth's Dodge dealership is located, and at Westover VFW Post 9916. We do encourage every voter to take advantage of the early voting periods because these days allow voters to cast their ballots at a date and time convenient to their personal schedules. 2 of those 10 early voting days for each election include Saturdays for even more voter convenience. The general election will be held on Tuesday, November 8th. Polls will be open from 6:30 a.m. until 7:30 p.m. The last day to register to vote in the November 8th general election is Tuesday, October 18th. Early voting for the general election will begin on October 26th and end on November 5th for 10 days, excluding Sunday. Early voting will be open from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. each day.
That is certainly a lot of opportunities to cast your vote and well laid out in advance so we can get them marked on our calendars now. So if I go for early voting, it doesn't matter where I normally vote. I can pick from any of those 4 locations and go cast my vote, right?
That is correct, at your schedule's convenience.
Great. So if I'm already registered to vote in Monongalia County, but I just want to double check and make sure, I'm not going to have any issues on election day or during early voting, how can I check that in advance for my existing registration?
Every voter should check their voter registration for accuracy and make any necessary updates as needed. Visit www.govotewv.com and click on the orange box labeled Check Your Voter Registration Record. On the next screen, voters may enter their first name, last name, date of birth, and click Submit. Voters will then see their current voter registration record, including full name, political party, registration status, and polling place location. Voters may also go to the Monongalia County Clerk's website at www.monongaliacountyclerk.com and click the link for the 2022 Monongalia County District Precinct Map. The map will open and voters may enter their residence address in the search bar at the top left. Click the search button and observe the result on the map. If the map has correctly located the residence, click just outside the black dot and a table will display containing the precinct number, polling place location and address, and other jurisdictional information. If the map does not correctly locate the residence, please call 304-291-7230 so that we may assist you.
I love this map. It's a fantastic tool, especially about some of the changes we're going to talk about coming up. It's a great way to just make sure you know who you're voting for and or what districts you're voting for and where your polling place is, because 2 years, there's a lot of things we've forgotten about what we do in 2 years, right?
That's right.
If I'm not yet a registered voter in Monongalia County and I want to get registered, how do I go about doing that?
Voters may register to vote or update their information at, again, www.govotewv.com. From the home page, click the blue box labeled Register to Vote or Update Your Registration. On the next screen, voters may register to vote, update their registration, or complete an application to be mailed to the county clerk at 243 High Street, room 123, Morgantown, West Virginia, 26505. Note that to receive a voter registration card on the spot in person, a resident must provide a copy of a current and valid West Virginia ID or driver's license, utility bill, bank statement, government check, paycheck, or other government document that shows their name and current residence address.
Once again, you've provided quite a few different options there. And, if someone wanted to do this online, we have 5 locations throughout the county, the public library with computers that people can use to access all this information to get them started. So we do have a primary election coming up pretty soon. And how do I find out which candidates are on the ballot for the primary election?
Voters may examine a sample ballot for their precinct by visiting the county clerk's website at www.monongaliacountyclerk.com and clicking Elections in the left menu. Then click 2022 Primary Election Information. Scroll down on the next screen to the Election Day Voting Locations and Sample Ballots section. Select any of the hyperlinked party affiliations there, and the voters will see the sample ballot for that party and precinct. Note that ballots will vary by precinct and the voter's registered political party affiliation. And just a note on which ballot voters will receive at the polls. If voters are registered either Democrat or Republican, then they must receive their party's ballot. If voters are registered either Mountain or Libertarian, then they will receive the nonpartisan ballot. Now, if either of those two parties had a candidate, then they would receive their party's ballot. If a voter is registered with any other party, then the voter may make a ballot selection. If they do not make a selection, then they will receive the nonpartisan ballot.
So everything we've covered so far has been pretty typical for any election year, but this year is a little special because as we're following the US Census, the 2020 census, the state legislature performed redistricting beginning last year, which has impacted every county and has made some changes to how things work around here. So let's start with what is redistricting?
In the United States, redistricting is the process of drawing electoral district boundaries. Redistricting occurs every 10 years after completion of the federal decennial census. In 2021, the updated population information was then used by the West Virginia State Legislature to redraw boundaries based on identified changes in population. So, the redistricting process in Monongalia County was based on identified changes in population within the county from the federal 2020 census. Monongalia County changed from the 1st Congressional District to the 2nd Congressional District. The senatorial districts changed from 3 to 2, so Monongalia County now contains part of the 2nd and 13th West Virginia senatorial districts. The House of Delegates districts changed from 3 to 6, so whereas West Virginia House of Delegates District 77 is partly in Monongalia County, the remaining 5 delegate districts, 78, 79, 80, 81, and 82, are completely within Monongalia County.
So this is definitely the confusing part, right? This is where we have to really kind of pay attention to a lot of the changes and why we want to check our registration and check our precincts, use the handy map. I understand that we've also, in addition to these changes, have gone from a multi-member district to single-member districts, and that the magisterial and precinct boundaries were also affected. Can you clarify what this means and how the changes affect me as a voter?
Certainly. In 2018, the legislature passed a bill that, beginning with the 2020 census and redistricting process, the state would move from 67 multi-member House of Delegates districts to 100 single-member districts. With the 2021 redistricting process, the state was divided into these districts with 1 delegate for approximately every 17,000 residents. This benefits both the delegate and the residents of the district because this change results in a more closely knit and smaller geographic area of representation so that the elected delegate may better understand the needs of their constituent citizens. In Monongalia County, we are changing from having 3 House districts, 5th, 49th, and 51st, to 6, which are 77 through 82. Voters will vote for 1 House of Delegates member. Please note that statewide changes to the House and Senate boundaries were made by the West Virginia State Legislature, not Monongalia County. So any questions regarding those boundaries should be sent to the state legislature. Now, based on population changes within the county, the 3 existing magisterial districts were modified so that each district has less than a 5% deviation in population from the other 2 districts. Every registered voter's record was manually updated to reflect all jurisdictional changes. Finally, to ensure that voters have the same jurisdictional components aligned to vote, modifications had to be made to also include the city limits of Morgantown, Westover, Star City, Blacksville, and Granville. This resulted in many precinct boundary changes, 2 new precincts from 41 to 43, and the condensing of 3 polling places from 29 to 26. Some voters' polling places and/or precincts have been changed to ensure that voters are in the correct voting jurisdictions. In advance of the primary election, a notice will be mailed to every registered voter who experienced a precinct or polling place change due to this redistricting.
This is such a huge amount of work that that the county clerk's offices across the state have had to take on. And again, I'm going to point back to the map because I think it is such a great tool to help the citizens of Monongalia County to sort out all of these changes and to really make sure that they know what's coming up. And I want to reiterate for those of us who are used to being in the 51st district and used to voting for 5 delegates that we will just be voting for 1 who is in whatever district we're in, and that's a big change, and I think is going to come as a surprise to a lot of people. So I appreciate you helping us get through this. So I, as a voter, should check my registration online, use the map to verify my precinct location, and come to early voting as a convenience to me. Those are our big takeaways today, right?
Sarah, those are perfect recommendations for all the voters to follow in preparation for the upcoming elections in 2022.
Thank you for joining me today and walking our viewers through the voter registration process and all of the new district and precinct information. There are a lot of changes this year. Thank you for making it as clear and easy to follow process.
Sarah, thank you for inviting me to share this information with the residents and voters of Monongalia County. Please note that the Department of Elections and Voter Registrations under the Office of the Monongalia County Clerk represents every voter, and we will look forward to seeing everyone at their early voting polling places and on Election Day.
Great. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.